Museums are places of knowledge, of history, of truth. We trust them to show us the past exactly as it was. But what if I told you that some historical objects never make it behind the glass? Not because they are fake, not because they are damaged, but because they are too disturbing. Objects so dangerous, so unsettling, that curators quietly agreed they should never be seen by the public. These are not myths, not internet horror stories. These are real historical objects that museums around the world refuse to display. And once you know why, you'll understand why some doors are never opened again. Before we enter the darker side of history, subscribe to History Mind, where we uncover the stories history itself tried to hide. Museums present themselves as neutral spaces, clean, organized, safe. But behind the scenes, decisions are made quietly. Curators debate not just authenticity, but consequences. Because some objects don't just represent history, they carry it. There are artifacts that caused panic, triggered violence, brought psychological breakdowns. Objects that once displayed changed how people behaved. And when patterns repeated, museums made a choice. They locked them away. Not destroyed, not denied, just never shown. One such object arrived at a European museum with no warning. It looked harmless, simple, almost boring. Within weeks of limited staff access, employees began reporting the same symptoms: unexplained anxiety, nightmares, a persistent feeling of dread. Security footage showed staff avoiding the storage room, not because they were told to, because they didn't want to go near it. When psychologists were consulted, they offered explanations: stress, suggestion, coincidence. But then incidents escalated. Arguments, aggression. One staff member quit without notice. The object was removed from public plans and quietly marked, not for display. Museums exist to educate, but they are also responsible for public safety. Some artifacts attracted obsession. People would stand in front of them for hours. Others caused emotional distress. Children cried. Adults reported nausea. Visitors complained of panic attacks. In one case, a museum temporarily displayed an object linked to violent rituals. Within days, visitor complaints tripled. Staff requested reassignment. Local media questioned the exhibit. The museum closed it early. Official reason? Conservation concerns. Unofficial reason? The object was affecting people. If you're still watching, you already understand something important. History isn't always safe to look at. Subscribe to History Mind for the stories museums never explain out loud. Experts argue there is no such thing as a dangerous object, only dangerous beliefs. Psychologists explain that expectation can shape perception, that fear spreads socially, and often they're right. But museums don't operate on belief alone. They operate on patterns. When multiple institutions across different countries make the same decision, to hide, to restrict, to refuse display, it stops being superstition. It becomes risk management. Because even if the object itself is not dangerous, human reaction to it can be. Today, these objects still exist, catalogued, documented, stored in climate-controlled rooms, not erased from history, just separated from the public. Because museums learned something the hard way. Not every truth needs to be seen. Some are better understood from a distance. And maybe the most honest thing a museum can say is not, "Come look," but "We chose not to show this." If this story made you think differently about history and the objects we trust, subscribe to History Mind, where we explore the hidden side of the past so you can decide what should remain unseen. Some objects tell stories, others change the people who listen.